What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Another video means another dopamine high, because I had to buy something to feel something, and today we're back at it with another review. Today's review in question is Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series Scar Trooper Mike, and because this character only makes an appearance in the comics, this is a part of the comic and book line of figures. And at any point during or after the video you do want to pick up this figure for yourself, you can get them off of Hasbro Pulse, GameStop, or Entertainment Earth for $27.99. And if you want to throw in that extra dollar, you can get them off of the Big Bad Toy Store for $28.99. Links in the description of the video if you're interested, of course. If you do want to pick up this figure in person, I don't know where you'll be able to find him. I don't know how sought out this figure is, so I don't know how easy or hard he will be to find, but I do have these 4 links in the description of the video at your disposal. And before we jump into the review, just a little bit of background information on Mike for those who don't know much or haven't heard of him before seeing this video. He's a part of Task Force 99, which is a squadron of Scar Troopers, which were these elite stormtroopers that were seen as the best of the best in the Empire and brought a lot to the table. Mick was considered the tech of the group and was known for his high intelligence and known for his splicing and decrypting capabilities. And really after that, there's not too much known about him. All that we see of him is in the comics that he appears in with Task Force 99. And I really hope they can shine some light on this task force. You know how like we have a Bad Batch series, maybe we can get a Task Force 99 series. I think that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, from everything that I've told you to what we see in the comics is all we have on this character. And with all that said, let's jump into the review. So getting into the packaging first, we have the entire, Scar Squadron on the front, looking nice and sexy. On the side, we have a nice picture of Mike with his name and then some panel art from the comics. And then going to the back, we have a nice photo of the figure with everything included. Some more comic art, which is nice to see. Opening up that bad boy, we get a nice big colored photo of Mike, a brief description of what he's all about, and then we have a nice photo of the figure once again. So with all that, let's open up this box and get into the review. So getting into articulation, starting off in the head region, you can have him rotate his head 360 degrees. You can have him look up and down a decent amount. You can have him bob his head back and forth, and you can get a nice tilt out of his head as well, so you can get that nice spherical motion out of him. So you can have him pretty much look all over and around, which is really nice to see that his helmet doesn't clash with his chest piece at all, something that I know some troopers used to do back in the day. Then taking a look at his arms, you can rotate them 360 degrees. You can have him bring up his arm a decent amount as well, and with that that means you can have him open up his arm a decent amount as well. So very glad to see that range of motion there. Allows for a lot of action poses and just great for toyography or displaying your figure. And then when it comes to the elbow, you're not really going to get any shoulder taps out of him, but he can still bring up his forearm a decent amount nonetheless. It's due to the forearm and bicep clashing, but it is what it is. It could be much worse. And then you can rotate the elbow and the forearm 360 degrees if you want him to do that at all. And then moving down to the hands, you can rotate the hands 360 degrees and bend the wrist however you please. So very happy to see the range of motion that we have in the arms of this figure. No complaints from me. And then looking at the torso, we can get a nice 360 degree rotation out of him, and then we can have him lean back and forth a decent amount. By no means is it a crunch, but it's glad to have that range of motion there nonetheless. And then with that being said, we can get a nice spherical motion out of his torso, which is really great to see. This allows for great playability and tons of ways to display your figure. And finally, taking a look at his legs, you can't really get a 360 degree spin out of them because of the thigh piece clashing with the crotch piece, but you can still get a pretty good range of motion out of rotating the thighs that way. So by no means does this ruin the figure. I don't really see people rotating the legs 360 degrees anyways. You're either just gonna have them go back and forth. When it comes to the split, because of the thigh armor, you can't really get a full split, kind of like half a split, and that's as much as you're gonna get there. And then you can bring up both legs if you wanted to, if you wanted to sit down on a chair on the edge of a cliff or something like that. So that is very possible. So still good to see that there. And then, with that being said, going down to the knees, you can get, I wouldn't say a butt kick by any means, but you can still get, you know, some kind of action pose or some running pose out of your figure, but by no means is he doing a butt kick. So, you know, not a deal breaker by any means, but just to put that out there. And then you can rotate the knee and the calf 360 degrees, and then going down to the feet, you can rotate them 360 degrees and bend the ankles however you please. So overall, very happy with the range of motion in the legs. I have no complaints. This is pretty standard for Black Series, and with all that said, I'm actually just generally happy with the range of motion throughout this entire figure. It's really good. You know, Hasbro is really improving on these figures' range of motion, and that shows here. And then getting into accessories, starting off with the blaster. This is the E11. We've seen 1,000 times over. This is specifically the mold with the flashlight and the attachment over the mag well. I don't really have anything really to say on this. We've seen it 100 times over. I think Black Series is doing a good job with these, so keep it up. And then lastly, we have Mike's jetpack, which fits via the shapes on the back plate of the Stormtrooper armor. Now, I actually had a lot of trouble attaching the jetpack, and even if I could get it to stay on, it didn't want to stay on for long or, you know, securely, which kind of sucks because the jetpack is Mike's defining accessory, and it just kind of bums me out that it didn't really want to stay on all too well. So fortunately, there are multiple ways going about fixing this issue. One, you can apply some heat to it and try and loosen up the holes on the jetpack so the shapes fit in better. You can, if you really trust yourself, do some carving, try and open up the holes again to allow the shapes to fit in better. You can be a complete psychopath and use Gorilla Glue or Super Glue to, you know, keep the jetpack on forever. I mean, he's always wearing it, so why would you take it off in the first place? Or you can do what I did, which I think is one of the safest options besides applying heat, and that is using some kind of putty or some kind of tack, because what it allows a nice sturdy grip so the jetpack doesn't fall off anytime soon, but you can still remove the jetpack at any time. So if you do want to take it off for whatever reason, you can do that, and that's what I did. So there's your options. Pick your poison. And one cool feature with the jetpack is you can actually pull out the thrusters on the side and have it look like it's being put to use, and then of course if you want it to look like it's not being used, you would just push those back in. But I thought that was a cool little thing that they decided to go with on this jetpack, and that's pretty much everything I have to say about the jetpack. Hopefully you have an easier time attaching it to your figure, and I think it's really cool what they did with the thrusters. So when discussing Mike's visual presentation, there isn't too much to go over. He does use the Stormtrooper mold that we're so used to seeing as of lately, and the only things that really differ about him is starting with his helmet. There is the indents on the forehead, we have the antenna piece and the light on the top of his helmet, and his visor is this metallic blue rather than it being black. And with those differences in mind, I do think Hasbro did a really good job at recreating them and applying them to this figure. And then beyond the helmet, there are these lines on his chest piece that I don't know what they mean, but they do add some flair to his design. And then there's the tactical pad, which is an overlay kind of thing. It's something he wears, so it doesn't actually change the mold of the figure itself, but it is included. So I figured I'd mention that, but those are the only really things besides his helmet that change the appearance of the Stormtrooper mold that we're so used to seeing. And then briefly just going back to the jetpack, I know this doesn't affect the sculptor mold of the figure or the figure's visual presentation really, but I do like the visual presentation of the jetpack. The line work is really cool. I really like how Hasbro went about it. I really just like all the little things that they're able to capture with it, and I really like the feature of the thrusters opening up to make it look like the jetpack is, you know, being used. It looks like he can be flying around if you have a dynamic stand or something similar to that. So, and of course you can close the thrusters back down so the jetpack is in a neutral state, but I just really enjoy all that about the jetpack and how Hasbro went about it. And then outside of the paint and sculpt work that make this figure unique to itself, just regarding to the entire figure as a whole, I think Hasbro did a really good job with the visual presentation of this figure. I really like what they're doing with this new mold of Stormtrooper. I really like the glossy plastoid armor. I like the undersuit, you know, with the folds and the wrinkles, all the little, you know, lines they get, all those little details. Love it. So I'm very happy what they're doing here. Not saying visually the last Stormtrooper mold was bad. I know some people had an issue with the helmet and the articulation, and, you know, I can kind of see where they're coming from, but this new mold I will say is just a breath of fresh air. We've had it for a while now, and I hope they continue to use it. I don't think they need to make another one at all. But with all that said, let's do some size comparisons to put this bad boy into scale. Starting off with NECA's Big Chap, then NECA's the Shaman Predator. Jazz wears Halo the Spartan Collection Mark 7B. Jazz wears the World of Halo Halo 3 ODST Rookie. And finally, we have McFarlane's The Doomslayer. And here we are at the turntable segment of the video. This is pretty much the thoughts and discussion segment. This is where I go over what I like, dislike, pros, cons, strengths, weaknesses, whatever you want to call it. Just my general thoughts and opinions, stuff like that. And give y'all something to bounce off of and get a conversation started down in the comments section. But first, we're going to get that sour stuff out of the way with the negatives. And there's only one thing that does irk me about this figure, and honestly, it could just be a personal experience. Maybe none of you have dealt with this issue. Maybe some of you have, and it's the jetpack not wanting to stay on securely on its own, and also just being a hassle to get it on in the first place. It's just an absolute nightmare. I've squeezed hard, squeezed tightly, and if I did get it to stick on, it'd stick on for like 2 seconds and then just pop right off. So that's why I resorted to the putty. There's those other options I did mention before that you can go for if you are having the same issue as me. Hopefully you're not. Hopefully this is just something that's going on with my figure and y'all are having a much easier time with the jetpack. But honestly, that's the only thing that does bother me about this figure. And then getting into the positives, I do think Hasbro did a really good job at recreating this character, and I'm talking about the parts of the figure that are specifically unique to him. I think they did a really good job at recreating, even though this guy for the most part just reuses the new Stormtrooper mold. Even that I think is really good. I really do like the new Stormtrooper mold. It looks good, it feels good, and then Hasbro doing a really good job at faithfully recreating this figure's unique parts. I love it. So the visual presentation of this figure is amazing, and his articulation, because it is the new mold, is also really good. So this is a good feeling and looking figure. And even if it is a hassle to attach the jetpack to the figure, I think it's really cool what they did with the thrusters, having them being able to pop out and make him look like he's using the jetpack and he's in flight. So I thought that was something that was really cool as well. So that's pretty much everything covering this figure. I will say I do recommend this figure if you can look past the whole jetpack thing, find a workaround. I've seen people who aren't having this issue whatsoever and they can just easily snap on the jetpack. So I feel like this is more of a personal issue with me, and hopefully not many of you are also having this issue. So hopefully y'all are having it much easier with the jetpack than I am. But I feel like this is a very well-rounded figure. The figure looks good, he feels good, and I feel like this is just a figure you can easily appreciate. So if you just want a figure with a cool aesthetic and feels good, this figure is for you. But I do obviously recommend this to the avid Star Wars figure collector. And with all that said, if you do have this figure already, please tell me down below, do you like or dislike this figure, and what so about liking or disliking this figure. And with that said, let's pop on to the outro. If you did enjoy this video, a like and a subscription would be awesome. You don't have to comment because that's a lot of effort on your fingers, but if you do want to bounce off anything I did say in the video, you are more welcome to go down and comment below. I'll most likely reply to your comments because I obviously do like talking about this stuff. And don't worry about the bell, we both know that shit is broken. And if you want to see more content like this, there's plenty of it up on the channel. I have a bunch of other Black Series videos, but I also do NECA stuff and I do Halo stuff as well. So if you want to see any of that and it interests you, more than welcome to go check that out up on the channel. And with all that said, I hope you have a nice day, and please stay hydrated. It's important.